1991. Birds and people are living together in seemingly perfect harmony, until one day a young man catches fire. This is Phoenix. The year is 1991. Birds and people are living together in seemingly perfect harmony, until one day a young man catches fire. This is Phoenix.
Like a phoenix, you burst in Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Game Week 14 knee-jerk stream. We still have one more game of Game Week 13 to go, which is Fulham versus Wolves, which I don't think many people are going to have too many players from. There might be a few Lenos and Jose Sars and Hwangs and 8 Nuris kicking around, but probably not by... there's probably not too many, I would say, out of the people watching. So the week is almost over. We've had a week of probably goal of the season, Garnacho already. I think goal of the season is already locked in. It'd be pretty difficult to beat that. I'm on another green arrow, my 5th one in a row. Son has blanked again without Maddison. Lots to talk about, as always. We'll get into some of your questions as well. Mbeumo looks like he might go up in price tonight. Saka tomorrow. Saliba tonight. There's lots of price changes that could happen tonight for sure. 36 points still in the top 300k. Very nice. Yes, don't forget to drop a like on the video. Don't forget to drop a 5-star rating if you listen on podcasts. Subscribe, of course, as well. Thoughts on Diaby? Probably not. Why is this so dark, by the way? Probably not great that he came off at half-time. So did Cash. Now, Cash was on a yellow card, and he probably, I wouldn't say he was lucky to get away without a second one, but he was close to getting a second one, I would say. So I think that might be one of the reasons he got brought off. He wasn't exactly playing great either, to be honest. Diaby, possibly an issue now. I think I would just give him the Bournemouth game. It depends, right? If you haven't got Mbeumo and you want to move to him, I think that's a perfectly good move, Diaby to Mbeumo. But I don't think I would rush Diaby to many other players. I mean, I don't even... Which midfielders are we even buying now? Honestly. Eze came off injured. Bowen wasn't in the squad at all. Diaby's just got hooked at half-time. Like, I think midfielders haven't run out, but it feels like the amount of options are dwindling a little bit. Would I do cash out for Saliba? I think probably. I will say with Arsenal, right, you've missed... You've missed Burnley at home and Brentford away. So they've got Wolves at home and then Luton away. Then they've got 3 tricky fixtures. Villa away, somebody at home, then someone away. I think it's... Is it Man City? No, they've already played Man City, haven't they? It is Villa away, Brighton at home, Liverpool away. But after that, the fixtures aren't bad. And Arsenal are kind of top 2 defence in the league. So I still think Saliba's probably a pretty good option. If you haven't got the funds for Saliba, then Gabriel's an option. But as we know, there is a chance that he could miss out some minutes. He's not as nailed as Saliba. But I'm of the opinion that Gabriel is still pretty good value. And I would possibly risk it. Yeah, so do I think Gabriel is nailed for minutes? I wouldn't sit here and tell you he's nailed, no. But I still think he'll get enough minutes to be very good value in that defence. You captain Son. I mean, if you've had Son, Salah and Haaland... and you've captained Son, you've missed out on like 5 points. It's really not the end of the world. You can probably consider yourself a little bit unlucky as well. I missed the first 10 or 15 minutes of that game, but I think I saw the rest. And I don't know, like you could say he was a bit unlucky because he was offside a few times. On another day, maybe he's onside, right? Some of them were quite close calls. But at the same time, Villa do play that way to get those offsides. I think they've caught the most players offside this season or something like that. Saw some stat going around. But either way, I think on another day, Son comes away with a return. I think one thing that I came away from that game, now I didn't captain him, so maybe it's a bit easier to put it behind me, or to put it to one side that he blanked. I wasn't particularly worried that Maddison wasn't on the pitch. It would still be better if Maddison was there, but I thought there was enough signs that Son is still pretty good. And to be honest with you, if you want to sell Son, my question is who for? Like, I've got Salah, Saka, Palmer, and Mbeumo and Son. I don't know who I sell any of them for. Like, I think there's good other midfielders I don't own. Like, if I had Gordon, I wouldn't be worried. But I don't think I'd be buying Gordon this week or anything like that. So, I'm more than happy to keep hold of Son. And I've only got 1 free transfer this week anyway. So, if I wanted to move him on, like, who is massively better this week than Son? I think after the Man City away game, the fixtures do get a bit better for Spurs as well. Yeah, Kudus is not a bad option. Not a bad option. And obviously, we don't know if Bowen is definitely out of Game Week 14. He could be back, right? So he could be an option as well. But I'm not sure they're the kind of players I want to use. Like, for me, it has to be a big upgrade to sell Son. And with one free transfer, I'm either moving him to someone like Bowen or Kudus in one move, and that just doesn't feel great, or I'm taking a hit to spread the money around, which also doesn't feel great. So for me, I'll be keeping him. Gordon looks pretty good. Honestly, it's been a roller coaster with Gordon. So before the Bournemouth game, there's some people thinking about captaining him. After the Bournemouth game, there's people thinking about selling him. And now he's got, what was it, a goal and an assist, I think it was, against Chelsea. I think he'll be back on the radar again. I would just say, chill. Don't react too much. If you haven't got Gordon, you probably don't all of a sudden need him in. I think he's a good option still, of course, if you've got a transfer to make. Like if you're selling Diaby, you've already got Mbeumo, you don't have the money to go to Saka or Son, you could definitely look at Gordon. But for most people, you don't need to panic. And if you've got him, just hold on to him. Right? He's a good option. Good price. Newcastle are strong, especially at home. Commiserations if you bought Reece James in, by the way, with a red card. Douglas Luiz in the tick is a bit of a joke because I often talk about, well, I try not to talk about him too much, although someone said on Deadline Stream I do, and to be fair, I have talked about him a bit this weekend. But I've keep saying that he's not a great FPL option, and again he got another return this week. It was a great cross from the free kick, by the way. All credit to him. But yeah, he's not that amazing. You shouldn't be bringing him in, I don't think. A lot of people are talking about Alisson. So he pulled up with a hamstring injury at the end of the Man City game, and they'd already used all their subs, so they couldn't substitute him off. There was only a couple of minutes to go anyway. So people are asking if Quivine Kelleher is an option because he's only 3.9 million. I would say Alisson needs to be out for quite a few weeks for me to worry about that. Obviously, right, you look at it, 3.9 million goalkeeper for Liverpool is great, and Areola's not getting clean sheets, so it all sounds really good. But if Alisson's only out for a few weeks, you're then blocking a Liverpool spot. Now, I've got no plans to triple up on Liverpool anytime soon, but I've already got Salah. Darwin is someone I quite like. People have got Tsimikas. Who knows? So all it takes is like one injury, and all of a sudden I might want to bring Tsimikas back in, or I might have the money to go from Saliba to Van Dijk, or whatever it might be. And I get it. Right now, I'm not looking at any of those players, but I'm not sure Kelleher would be so, like, if Alisson's out for like 6 to 8 weeks or more, then yes, I will probably bring him in. I will probably do Turner to Kelleher, but it needs to be a good amount of time, I would say. If it's only 2 or 3 weeks, I'm not sure it's worth it. Like the transfer in and then the transfer back out again. So we need to, like, unfortunately, people are going to want to know about Alisson, Bowen, Eze. I don't know at this point in time how long those players are going to be out for. I think with Eze, I didn't see the game live, but a lot of people said it looked bad and he didn't look great going off. But then I saw a tweet yesterday saying that he'd said to someone that he'll be all right. But what does "I'll be all right" mean? Does that mean you're out? You're not out at all? You're out for a week, a month? We just don't know. So it's hard to... if you can, I would try and chill on the transfers and just wait for an update. Because obviously if Eze's fine, you've got West Ham away, Bournemouth at home. If Bowen's fine, you've got Crystal Palace at home this week. So I would try not to rush if you're not desperate for the money. Spurs fan here, if you didn't watch the game and saw the result, you'd 100% be selling Son. He needs Maddison. He isn't worth the money. I think that's a weird thing to say. I mean, I agree. If you didn't watch the game and saw the result, you'd 100% be selling Son. But I did see the game, and that makes me think I don't need to sell Son. And also, you say he's not worth the money. Who are you buying? Who is better than Son right now? Like, genuinely. I'm up for selling him, but who for? Another Alvarez blank, 0.1 in the bank. Who is best? I mean, Solanke probably, if you've not got any money to go up to like a Darwin Nunez. Yeah, look, I completely get it, Alvarez owners. I said this last week. I mean, my general thoughts were you should probably keep hold of him, but I do get the frustration. He didn't look that great, but it was a game against Liverpool. Then again, Haaland looked pretty good at times. I get it, but I think if you haven't got much money, you're probably going to Solanke. Shout out to everyone who survived the temptation of a rage transfer episode this game week. Let calmer minds prevail in the upcoming days before the deadline. Shakalaka Mecca. Weren't you captaining Ward-Prowse or something? Did you go through with that? Gordon to Mbeumo tonight to avoid being priced out. I think Mbeumo is a great option to bring in this week. So if you're going to be priced out, and that's definitely the move you're going to make, then yes, I don't mind moving Gordon to Mbeumo. But as I just said, Gordon's not like a rush to sell or anything like that. But would I rather have Mbeumo than Gordon? Yes, I think that would be the case. Son to Saka or a fit Bowen. I've got no interest in going Son to Bowen, to be honest. Son to Saka, maybe, if you haven't got Saka. I'm still not sure I would do that, but I think that's a better move than Son to Bowen. I don't know. I just think Son came so close to scoring today. If he scores, we're not having this conversation. Like, that's the fine margins. And look, it's Man City away next week, so the game's not great anyway. But I just think after that, you got back-to-back home games, West Ham and Newcastle. Not easy, either of them, but at home. And I think the fact that Lo Celso played was good as well, because that meant there was a bit more emphasis on attack. If you watch the game, I think Spurs were pretty good in the first half, maybe not so much the second. Then it's Forest away, Everton at home, Brighton away, Bournemouth. I mean, I just think that's a good fixture run. I really do. And Son's probably going to start every single one of those games. And he's probably got penalties as well, of which they maybe should have had one today. So, I don't know. Saka, possibly, because I love Saka as well. Maybe if you're going up to Salah, but I just don't get Son to Bowen, to be honest with you. I mean, I kind of... do you know what? I just don't... No, I don't get that. I don't get Son to Bowen. Didn't see the game. Were Man United fortunate to get the clean sheet? I would say yes. Now, I only watched up till about the 60th minute, because I had to go and watch my son play football, of which they absolutely smashed it. He scored a hat-trick. Thanks for asking. So I didn't see the rest of the game, but yes, in the first half, I don't know how Everton didn't score. Man United were not good. Like the first half, basically, Garnacho scored an absolute screamer. Goal of the season, almost certainly locked in already. If someone scores a better goal than that, I want to see it. I absolutely want to see it. And like, I think from a non-FPL perspective, Mainu was good, considering it was like, I think it was his Premier League debut, right? And he's so young. But in terms of overall team, it was bad. It was really bad. Now, maybe they got better in the second half because I didn't see most of it. But first half, terrible. Terrible. Bowen to Mbeumo. Yes, probably. But I think if I had Bowen, I'd want to keep hold of him if he's fit this week. I just don't know if there's like a mad rush to bring him in. Depends who you're selling, I suppose. Goal aside today, should the news about Rashford seen with his ex-fiancée, is that enough to make him a must-own now? No. There is, for anyone that doesn't realise why that question's been asked, there's this theory. I've just realised, actually. No, I better not mess with it. I might break my camera. There's a theory that when Rashford's with his girlfriend, when they're not split up, he's much better. But I said to someone today, while the game was on, by the looks of things, it looks like Rashford broke up with his girlfriend before the game because he wasn't great. Again, I didn't see one of the second half. Maybe he was better. But first half, he was not good. And obviously, Fernandes gave him the penalty. Which, if you're a Fernandes owner, was probably extremely frustrating, I would say. But obviously, it was to get Rashford to... It was get him some confidence. So hopefully it works out. I don't think you'll see Salah doing that. But... We've seen Saka give penalties away. Now Fernandes is doing it as well. I mean, in the past, Fernandes and Rashford have shared a bit more than we've kind of come to see the last season or so. Maybe a couple of seasons ago, Rashford and Fernandes shared a little bit. Mainu... yeah. Diaby to Mbeumo right now. I can afford this move with nothing in the bank. If Mbeumo price was, I can't make that move. I think Mbeumo is better than Diaby, over the next few weeks. Like, I think this is just going to be a week of talking about Ryan and Mbeumo. Is Gordon essential? No. Is Diaby a sell this week? I mean, it depends who you're selling him for. I think people go into Mbeumo, that's a really good move. For other people, maybe not so much. Pity penalty. Kai got a lot of grief for the same thing. Yeah, I mean, it was, yeah, for sure. What am I doing with Cash long term? I mean, I want to sell Cash. I don't think he's been a great option since we bought him. I think for Villa players in general outside of Watkins, that 6-1 thrashing of Brighton kind of made people overreact a little bit. I mean, Diaby's been all right, to be fair, but Cash has been rubbish. Really, really bad buy, whether you went Game Week 8 or Game Week 10 wildcard or just didn't wildcard at all. I think in terms of replacements, if you haven't got Saliba, that's definitely... Hang on, 2 seconds. You'll have to excuse me. I got a bit of a cold, and I have to mute the mic so you don't hear all the coughing and stuff like that. Cash replacements. I think Porro is kind of top of my list. Like, I've already got Saliba, so it's a bit different. I kind of want Porro, but I can't afford it. Which is a little bit annoying. I'm 0.2 million off, and I don't really have a great way to raise those funds either. I'm kind of a little bit stuck with my own team, to be honest. So if you look for my next like how I'm lined up for next week, I've got Areola against Palace at home. I've got Saliba and Gabriel double up in defence against Wolves at home. I'm currently playing Charlie Taylor against Sheffield United at home over Cash. I might swap that back. I'm not completely convinced by Burnley, even if they're playing Sheffield United. I've got Salah, Fulham at home, Son, Man City away, Saka, Wolves at home, Palmer, Brighton at home, Mbeumo against Luton at home. And then up front it's Haaland and Watkins. And then Turner, Archer, Cash, Gay on the bench. I've got 0.1 in the bank. I have zero room to manoeuvre this team. And until an injury or suspension crops up, I'm kind of stuck because I want to sell none of those attackers. None of them at all. Like, even if you said to me, well, do you think Gordon's better than Palmer? I'd probably say yes. I think it's close anyway. But I've got no money to go from Palmer to Gordon anyway. And also, Palmer's got Brighton at home, so that's fine. And with the defenders, like, I don't really want to get rid of Arsenal this week. Gay has got Bournemouth at home next week in Game Week 15, so there's just no need to sell any of these players. So my move's quite easy this week. I keep Cash whether I play him or not. And then Game Week 15, which is a midweek game week, when I've got 2 free transfers, then I decide what to do. And maybe at that point I shift the funds around and I sell Watkins or I sell Son or I sell Saka. But I've got no real desire to do any of those moves. So I don't really have anywhere to go with Matty Cash. I think Reece James, when he's back from suspension, is an option. But do I think he's going to start all the games over December? No. I really like Pedro Porro. Even though Spurs' defence is worse at the moment, they are going to get Romero back by Game Week 15. Obviously, I wouldn't buy Porro this week because it's Man City away anyway. But after that, they've got a pretty... I think their run is okay. I don't necessarily expect a huge amount of clean sheets, but I also don't think there's many defenders that are standout options. And he's on all set pieces. He's very attacking. There's more attacking returns to come from Porro. He's the one I really want. Yeah, Udogie's an option, but he's just not as exciting about as Porro. But yes, Cash to Udogie might be where I go. But this week it doesn't matter. You can't have Archer and Palmer. I mean, you can. I literally have it right now. I mean, what's the alternative? Like, I mean, we've been over this a million times ever since I wildcarded, but if I want to have Haaland and Salah and Son and Saka and Watkins and Mbeumo and Saliba, then I have to have Palmer and Archer. There's no other choice. So I'm really not worried about that at all. Like, I appreciate Palmer just blanked and he's not going to get loads of penalties, but the numbers are still okay. The fixtures are still pretty good. Let's see how it goes. At some point, his minutes might start getting reduced a little bit. I think I'm more open-minded that could happen compared to a lot of people, but it's not a problem, I don't think, right now. Udogie was so advanced first half. Yeah, maybe, but if you look at the numbers, it just doesn't really back up Udogie as an attacking option. Like, it's not that he can never get attacking returns. Of course he can. He has already this season. But if you're picking between the two and money's not a factor, you take Porro. There's no argument, I don't think. Semenyo is looking good for Bournemouth. Should have had 3 assists yesterday if players could finish. Yeah, but again, he's a cheap forward, isn't he? So, like, sure, if you're downgrading a forward because you need to upgrade another position, then maybe you get Semenyo in instead of Archer. But if you've got Archer, you're not using a transfer to move him on, right? Even though he's terrible. I mean, even against Bournemouth, what did he... Like, Sheffield United have done. Like, they're so relegated. Yeah, this is... I mean, Bournemouth at home is probably one of the better fixtures you can get, and Cameron Archer put up 0 XG in 90 minutes and 0.03 expected assists. He is someone I never want to play. And even though Mbeumo blanked, I'm still glad I made that move to bring him in against Arsenal. Like, I'll play Archer in game week 18 against Villa, but I will expect nothing more than 2 points. What about Maguire at 4.3 million? I think you're too late to the Man United party, to be honest. Like, Harry Maguire was someone that you could have put on a game week 10 wildcard. I did discuss that at the time. But Newcastle away, no clean sheet. Chelsea at home will be difficult. Bournemouth at home is good in 16. Liverpool away, no clean sheet. West Ham away, I'd be surprised if there's a clean sheet. Villa at home, again, home game, good for Man United. Against Villa, not so much. Forest away, maybe. I wouldn't even bank on that. And then it's Spurs at home in 21. I'm sure Spurs will score. So I think you're probably too late to the Harry Maguire party. Although, again, if you need a really cheap enabler, I don't completely hate it. You don't have to play him every week. Isn't Archer ineligible in Game Week 18? No, they bought him, right? I don't think it's a loan. Is João Pedro essential? Of course, yeah. I mean, to be fair, all jokes aside, Ansu Fati went off injured, right? So Brighton might finally have enough injuries where João Pedro might get some good minutes. But if you think I'm going back there anytime soon, no. Definitely not. Is Mbeumo essential? No. No player's essential, but like, I hate that. I shouldn't always have to caveat that, really, should I? But do I think Mbeumo is a really good option for the next 4 game weeks? Yes, absolutely. Should I keep Vicario in goal? I mean, probably. Like, who's a massive... There's not really a massive upside to swap him to another keeper, I don't think. Here's a question for you. Has Vicario been the best goalkeeper in the league this season? Or is that just a hipster thing to say? Because I appreciate that Alisson is the best goalkeeper. Like, no one has an argument against that. He is even though he had a bit of a nightmare against City, he is the best keeper. No one is that. But Vicario's been so good this year for Spurs. Very impressed. I thought he was quite shaky in the first game against Brentford, but obviously you can't write a player off after 1 week. No, I'm not saying Alisson. I'm not saying who is the best. I'm saying who has been the best this season. Like, again, no one is arguing that Alisson's not the best overall. We all know that. Thoughts on doing Son and Ward-Prowse to Saka and Mbeumo? Yeah, I mean, I'm not really sure there's a rush to get rid of Son, but do I think Saka and Mbeumo is a much better combination than Son and Ward-Prowse? Yes. I suspect no one's going to agree with me on the Vicario shout. Is it too hipster? Alisson, yeah, no, again, Alisson is the best, right? If you're asking me to, if Man United could have any goalkeeper in the league, of course you're taking Alisson. I'm saying this season. Anyway, never mind. Is Watkins essential? Okay, yeah, I see what's going on here. Forest defence, I just wouldn't go for Nottingham Forest defenders. Diaby for Palmer, or stick with Diaby for 1 more week. I'd probably stick with Diaby. I think like Palmer's good from this week, but unless you need that money for another move, if you've got one transfer, I would just keep Diaby and roll probably. Like, of course, it's a little bit of a worry now that he got subbed at half time, but I don't think that's going to be a common occurrence. Is Wissa for Ferguson a good move? I'd be a little bit careful about that because Wissa's going to blank in game week 18. And yes, I know, I keep saying that Mbeumo's great. He's also going to blank in 18. But it's just, you're just adding another player you've got to deal with. And I think Mbeumo's worth it. I'm not so sure about Wissa. I guess my point with Wissa would be, think about how many other players you're going to have to deal with in game week 18. Like, if you've got Haaland and you've got Mbeumo and you've got another Man City player or something like that, that's 3 players that are going to blank in 18. And also, Wissa and Mbeumo both going to African Cup of Nations, so just be careful. I think Wissa will do well over the next 4, but it's more the issues after that. Am I rolling the transfer this week? I mean, almost certainly. What would I even do? If I was going to use my transfer this week, like, what would I do? There's not much out there, I don't think. Obviously, if Kelleher is going to be in goal for Liverpool for months, then maybe I just do that. But I don't think that's a move that I need to make. I'll just play Areola against Crystal Palace at home. I'm not really too worried about that. No, James Andrew, I just answered that about Son and Ward-Prowse. I said possibly yes, would do that. No, the Game Week 20 double has not been confirmed. I think James on Planet FPL was saying that if we haven't heard by the Game Week 14 deadline, not that it's impossible to happen, but that we should start thinking that maybe it won't. So we'll see. Is Sterling on 4 yellow cards? It feels like everyone's on 4 yellow cards at the moment. Any Dunk owners, by the way? Apparently he is suspended for 2 games for dissent. And because he got a yellow then a straight red card, he'll also still be on 4 yellows when he comes back. So he could miss 3 games over the next few weeks. Anyone play Sky? If you play Sky, Dunk is a bit of an issue now. Cash or Simicast or Udogi to play this week. If it's to play, then Simicast. What's the best way to get Haaland in for Luton? My team value is spread pretty equally around the team, so do I have to bring out someone like Salah or Son? I mean, yes. Either you take out a big hitter or you start unspreading that money. That's your 2 options, right? One is going to take more chances than the other. Dunk got 2 yellow cards, I believe, not a straight red. No, I think it was a straight red. Because he's suspended for 2 games. If it was just 2 yellows, I think it would have just been 1 game, right? Bruno gave Rashford the penalty for confidence, basically. Is breakfast essential? Absolutely not. No. Bring in Matip or Konate for cash. I would just ignore both of them. I actually think I'd rather go for Simicast. Because neither Matip or Konate are nailed on, I don't think. And I think Simicast could get just as many minutes, and he's probably a bit more attacking. Dunk was a yellow for the pen, then a second yellow straight away for dissent. I think it was a straight red. Anyway, it doesn't matter. For FPL, not many people have Dunk. Not skipping Sky Captain tomorrow thanks to Dunk. I'm probably going to get Tim Ream. So in FPL, I said I can't really get behind Fulham defence. They're just awful. I just can't get excited about them. And tomorrow in Sky, I'm probably going to buy Tim Ream and captain him. That's just the way it goes. Just looked at your team. I'm 8k rank. If I was you, I'd do Son and Archer to Doku and Isak. Yeah, no interest in that whatsoever, to be honest with you. I mean, like, first of all, congratulations for being 8k rank. That's great. But I think even if you were number 1 in the world, I still wouldn't do Son and Archer to Doku and Isak, I don't think. I think Isak's great, but I'm spreading my money to 8 attackers, which isn't necessarily a huge issue. That combination could work out well, but I'm just not a big fan right now of Doku with the blank. I still think at some point Grealish, if he's fit and available, will start. So it's not really for me. I might go for Doku for the double. If he's going to start if there's a double in 20, he's going to start 1 game and maybe get 30 minutes in the other one. I could be tempted by that. Am I essential? No. I wouldn't even listen to me right now. There must be other people streaming. All these Eze questions, I'm guessing they come from punters which didn't pay off. Well, I mean, to be fair, Eze owners got very unlucky, right? You can't predict an injury. Worth doing Diaby to Palmer ASAP before the price changes? No, probably not. I mean, you're going to be able to afford it anyway. So the question is, do you definitely think that Palmer is absolutely the best replacement for Diaby this week? Because if not, I would just let that price slide and not worry about it too much. In Burma is essential to me for next week, but I'm 0.1 out of him for Eze. Is it worth selling Son for Saka, or should I downgrade Maguire to Lascelles or another 4.1? I'm still a little bit unsure about Lascelles because as soon as Botman's back, Lascelles will be out of the team. We don't quite know what's going on with Botman. I think to be honest, yeah, I don't know. The Son to Saka question is tricky for me. I'm not sure where I stand on that right now. So I guess I probably would prefer Maguire to Lascelles. I think it's so easy to think that Son to Saka is a good move because Son's just blanked again. That's 3 in a row, 2 without Maddison, and Saka's just got an 8-pointer from 1 assist. But I still think over the next 6 weeks, Son could absolutely outscore Saka. But I think they're both. If you can get both, that's probably the ideal world, right? Feels like we're running out of good picks in FPL. It's just one of those things that, you know, the blank will start dictating a little bit of what we do. So will the fixtures, the injuries and suspensions. So yeah, it does feel like there's a few less options now than a couple of weeks ago, maybe. Should I do it? Yeah, lots of people saying about Diaby to Mbermo. I think that's a pretty good move, yes. Isak or Trent? I mean, I'd probably go for Isak, I think, for those out of those two. I mean, Isak got 80 minutes. I was surprised about that, to be honest. So I think if Newcastle lose to PSG, I think that's them out of the Champions League, is it? Or pretty much out. So they might take the last game a little bit easier and rest Isak. True, they don't have too many players to bring on. So I think Isak is going to look pretty good. But I think my general opinion about him is exactly the same as it was before this game week. Most people will already have a forward where they don't need to sell them to Isak. Like if you've got Watkins, you've got Bournemouth away this week. If you've got Darwin, you've got Fulham at home. Alvarez, maybe you could go to Isak if you're sick of him. But even he's got Spurs at home with no Van der Ven, no Romero. Solanke owners, I mean, you've probably only just bought him. So do you want to get rid of him straight away? Probably not. So again, I'm not against people bringing Isak in. Absolutely, it's your team. You should do whatever you want with it. But I think for most people, you've probably got a forward you don't need to sell. Would be my general thoughts. How about doing Gay to Lascelles to afford cash to Poro? Don't hate it. Don't hate it. I really just want to know what's going on with Botman. That's it. If Eddie Howe says to me, you know what, Botman's got a proper issue, he's going to be out for months, yes, I'm all over that move. I wouldn't do it this week, of course, for a hit. But next week, Gay to Lascelles, if Botman's out for a while, and cash to Poro, I'd be all over that, I think. Well, again, maybe not next week, actually, because Gay would have Bournemouth at home. So that wouldn't necessarily be ideal. But eventually, yes, I would probably look at doing that. I just don't want to get caught by going to Lascelles and then Botman's back. That would just be so frustrating. Because when I've already got Haaland and Burma, so I've already got 2 players blanking in game week 18. So I'm just a bit conscious that I need to make sure I don't cause myself more issues down the line. Foden or Son to Mbermo? I would definitely sell Foden before Son for me. If Newcastle lose to PSG, they may still be gunning for 3rd in the group in Europa League. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, I don't think Isak will play all the games either, to be honest. I said that before this week. Thoughts about Bernardo Silva after game week 18? I think if Man City double in game week 20, then getting 2 starts out of a player like Bernardo Silva could be okay. But as a long-term FPL option, I just don't like him at all. Like, Bernardo Silva is one of those players where he is fantastic, right? Maybe, top 3, top 5, definitely top 10 in the league. 100%. But from an FPL point of view, he just doesn't have the numbers there. The expected goals, expected assists are always quite low. Doesn't put up a huge amount of goals and assists. I think there's usually better options from other teams. Trossard as a differential, I wouldn't bother. Like, he didn't play... Like, Martinelli was on the left and Jesus was through the middle, so Trossard played more in midfield. And I didn't even watch all that game in full either, because, again, I was watching my son play football yesterday as well. But, do you know what I mean? There's a chance that someone else comes into that midfield, and it doesn't mean that Trossard then goes and plays number 9 or on the left. I just don't think his minutes are good enough, basically. I don't think you can rely on Trossard's minutes. Like, he's one of those that as soon as they're... Like, if Martinelli got injured, then Trossard suddenly becomes a really big differential, I think. But until something like that happens, I just don't think I'm that interested. Would you keep Bowen in your team if you had him in your team instead of Palmer? I mean, yeah, I'd happily, if I had an extra couple of million in the bank, I'd much rather have Bowen than Palmer. Yeah, absolutely. I think you've got to. I think sometimes you've got to realise like different. I do think there's different. Has to be a different view on players depending on the situation you're in. Like someone who doesn't have Bowen like me with this setup. I mean, I'd love him, but I'm not panicking and losing sleep every night that I don't own him. I'm not looking for a way to actively get him into my team. But someone that's got Bowen should be also not looking to get rid of him, right? As long as he's fit, of course. Because he's a great option. Who's essential on a wild card this week, would you say? I mean, if I was wild carding this week, I would have in Burmo and Haaland and Salah, probably, and Saliba. Without giving it too much thought. I'd be tempted by a punt on Darwin as well. If I make the move I'm thinking about this week, we will have the same midfield. Yeah, this midfield is going to be quite template, I think. You know me, love a good template. I think if Eze and Bowen are out, that makes it even worse in terms of template picks. I think Gordon, there's going to be a few Gordons, a few Hwangs, a few Bowens, a few Ezes. There's not a huge amount of other midfielders right now people are on. Diaby, I guess, still. Mitoma to Mbeumo, no hesitation. 100%, yeah. If I hadn't done that last week, I'd definitely be doing it this week. Will I be making a wildcard video for those planning Game Week 19 wildcard? Potentially, but you have to remember Game Week 19 is the day after Christmas deadline. So I don't know how much will go on before that. We'll have to see. I think the fact that it's a Thursday deadline for Game Week 18 means I might do a wildcard video. Will I free hit in Game Week 18? I'm not currently planning on doing that, but I don't think it's a bad option because there's not a definite good week to free hit. Like there might end up being a better week than Game Week 18, but it's not obvious. I can't sit here right now and tell you exactly when that will be. Chris, 2 free transfers, wildcard 19, Son and Archer to Palmer and Watkins and play 8 attackers through till 18. Yeah, because then you get to keep Alvarez for Luton. Son and Archer to Palmer and Watkins, yeah, don't hate that. Especially with wildcard 19. Could Van Dijk be a solid nailed option over Christmas? Yes, he's definitely nailed. I think Liverpool's fixtures are pretty good as well. You get Fulham at home, Sheffield United away, Palace away. I mean, Man United and Arsenal, 17 and 18. They probably concede in both of those games. Got Burnley away in 19. Newcastle at home is tricky in 20. I think he's okay. It's just, with someone like Van Dijk, it's just his price. Like, he's 6.1. It's just, it feels like a difficult price to fit into most people's squads. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's a bad option, that's for sure. You're probably going to get more starts than a Simicast, but obviously you pay for that pleasure. Loving the content recently. Only recently. What was wrong with it before? It's always been terrible. Looking to bring in Burmo for this game week. Plan was to move Foden out, but now I'm debating taking Diaby out for him. Diaby versus Foden is interesting. I feel like Foden... I think Man City players are so interesting this season. We're always looking for nailed-on Man City attackers, and we have them in Foden and Alvarez. Like they're pretty much anyway starting every single game, and yet there's hardly any talk about them. Just they haven't been doing that great. I mean, look at Foden's numbers. Liverpool at home, 0.15 xG, 0.02 expected assists against Chelsea. 4 goals, Man City scored. Foden, 0.17 expected goals, 0.14 expected assists. Against Bournemouth, 6-1 win. He played 45 minutes. 0.16 expected goals. It's pretty poor. Man United he did really well. His numbers have been not that great, to be honest, this season. But Diaby's got worse fixtures, I would say. I think the thing to consider is that Foden blanks in 18. So to manage that, it might be easy to sell him. I will not be captaining in Burmo, no. Salah or Haaland captain for me. I think it's quite close. My gut instinct is to go for Salah just because of the fixture on paper. But I just think the way Spurs are playing could really just be good for Man City. So I am tempted to switch that. Have I looked at how to get Salah back after African Cup of Nations? Not at all, if I'm honest. Not at all. But we probably will have to do that because what games will he miss? He'll probably miss 21 and 22. So Bournemouth away and Chelsea at home. So you're not necessarily going to need him straight back for Arsenal away. But from game week 24, Liverpool have Burnley at home, Brentford away, Luton at home, Forest away, Man City at home in 28. 29 is Everton away. And then 30 is Brighton at home. 31 is Sheffield United at home. Like, you're going to want Salah back for that run. So something to consider, but I'm not going to worry about it now. I guess the easy, like right now, the plan would probably be to not spread the money around too much. So like I could do Salah and Palmer to 2 7 to 8 million pound midfielders or something like that, and then just switch it back. Benching for 3, yeah, possibly. Your captain in Darwin against Fulham, he will score 2 goals and assist 1. Good luck. How many chicken bakes have you had this weekend after speaking about them yesterday? 0, because there's no Greggs in Ireland. Do you think Bruno giving away the penalty was a one-off? I mean, I wouldn't say it definitely can't happen again, but I don't think it's going to happen that often. I'd be very surprised if Bruno Fernandes doesn't take the next penalty. Do I prefer Gabriel or Saliba? Definitely Saliba if you've got the money. Obviously, there is a big price difference. At the moment, I cannot afford... Why am I looking at that? At the moment, I cannot afford Saliba for free by selling cash, but I can do that transfer if I sell Boeing to Mbermo. Is it worth taking a -4? I don't like the idea. The thing is, it's hard to say because we don't know what the diagnosis is with Bowen, right? He could be back for 14. I don't know if David Moyes said anything after the match. I can't get behind selling Bowen against Crystal Palace at home and cash against Bournemouth at home for a -4. Even though I think Saliba and Mbermo are great. I'd rather just play cash against Bournemouth and just do Bowen to Mbermo for free, to be honest with you. I mean, if you're going to be priced out, maybe, but it's still... There'll be another way, surely, later on. You're definitely doing Matoma to Mbermo this week. Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty obvious move, I think. De Bruyne returning would be ideal. That would definitely make things interesting. I got to be honest, though. I think most people would just do Salah to De Bruyne for the double if he was back for that. The plan was doing Bowen to Mbermo for the past 3 game weeks and hold Diaby for Sheffield United at home in 18, but feels strange now everyone wants Bowen. I don't think... Like, Sheffield United at home in game week 18 is a great fixture, but I don't think it's so good that you should hold Villa players if you don't think they're great over the next few weeks. And I think Diaby and Cash fall into that category. Like, fair enough if you want to hold on to Watkins. He's so consistent, his minutes are great, etc. But I think there's lots of good midfielders. And I just think in Mbermo versus Diaby next 4 weeks, there's no contest. Man United at home is a good fixture for Liverpool. Yeah, I don't think anyone said it wasn't. Best defenders for the next few weeks around 4 million. I mean, they're all rubbish, really. I mean, maybe not Lascelles, as long as Botman's not back anytime soon. But most of them are pretty rubbish outside of that. Trippier for Canate. As in, you're getting Trippier in. I mean, getting Trippier in is never a bad move. The Watkins effective ownership will be high for Game Week 18. Yeah, right now, I would say he might be people's favourite captain. I think if Son gets a brace the week before in Game Week 17, I think people might change their minds a little bit because Son's got Everton at home that week, I think. But on paper, yeah, Watkins against Sheffield United at home in Game Week 18 looks great. Best Chelsea defender to get in. I mean, great question. Obviously, James is suspended now for 1 week. He's probably the most exciting from an FPL perspective. I'm not quite sure what to make with Colwill. I mean, ideally, I would like to make the Chelsea defender choice later, just to see a few more games, because Cucurella has been playing left back. They've also got Badiashile back as well now, so that's another centre back. Now, Colwill has been pretty much nailed. He did have, I think, a shoulder issue during the international break, but he had trained all week and he didn't start. So was that just because the shoulder was still playing him up a little bit and they didn't want to risk it? Or is he just a potential rotation concern? So that's one worry. I'm not too bothered about Chilwell because Pochettino wasn't using him as a left back anyway, although I guess it is just another body that could play there. So Colwell's an issue. James can never stay fit and he's also suspended. The one player that's probably going to get a lot of minutes while he's fit is Thiago Silva at 5 million. But can he play all the games over Christmas? I'm not so sure about that either. And obviously he's not that exciting. He could get you a goal. So I think Chelsea defence is tough. Colwell's a starter, but I know you can say that, but he literally didn't start this week. Now again, maybe that was because of the injury, but we don't know that. So all I'm saying is be cautious with Chelsea defenders. I mean, I've said this before. I said this before the Game Week 13 deadline. This is a really tough time to pick defenders. There isn't really a perfect defender that's good for attacking. I mean, maybe Trippier, right? It'd be so much money. I feel like with Trippier, you've either already got him or you just can't get to him. There's not a perfect defender that's got really good attacking potential, that's a really good price, that also has really good fixtures for like 5 to 6 weeks. I think Porro is close to that, but not this week, right? I mean, yeah, Pinnock, you know what? He's got Luton at home this week. Great shout. But as much as I like Mbeumo, I think for a defender, the fixtures are much harder. So this week, fine, Luton at home. Brighton away, I don't see a clean sheet for Brentford. Sheffield United away in 16, okay, that's not bad, I guess. Villa at home is tough in 17 for Pinnock. And then he blanks in game week 18 anyway. So you're potentially getting 1 or 2 clean sheets in the next 5 game weeks. He has got a bit of attacking potential. Yeah, Ben White, but Arsenal have Wolves at home, Luton away, not bad. Then they have Villa away, Brighton at home, Liverpool away, which is not good. And also, White's quite expensive. So buying defenders at the moment is quite tricky. And the annoying thing is, for my team, is defenders is kind of what I need to buy. Because I don't need to do anything with the attackers. So it's tricky. I think it all depends on what setup you've got already. But if you want me to tell you a defender that I think is good from now until after Christmas for around 5 million, like where you can consistently play them, there are not that many. Obviously, you can bench defenders. You only need 3 if you're playing 3-5-2 or 3-4-3. But unless you've got cheap ones, you probably want to play them quite often. Again, so Simicast maybe, right? And we discussed this over the international break. Selling Simicast might have been a big mistake because I think Simicast owners will play him every single one of the next 3 weeks and they'll just hope that he plays them all. And if he doesn't, it's probably not the end of the world. But after those 3 fixtures, they've got Man United at home and Arsenal at home. I think they'll probably concede in both of those. And you've also got the potential for Gomez to play some games as well. So if you've got Simicast, I think you're loving life. You're also loving that those of us that don't have him are probably not going to buy him back. But I don't know if I would go out and get him. Pau Torres is good and cheap. Yes, I think maybe we're saying that because he scored today. But it's Bournemouth away. Then it's Man City at home, Arsenal at home. The fixtures just aren't good for clean sheets. I mean, everybody wants to sell Matty Cash at the moment, so I'm not sure going to buy Pau Torres is the answer, right? They've got Bournemouth away this week. So even on paper, that's an okay fixture, but an away game, not really ideal. Man City and Arsenal at home tough. It's Brentford away. I mean, I see Mbeumo and co scoring that week. Sheffield United at home in 18 is good, and Burnley at home in 20 is good, but Man United away in 19 isn't. So is this the time to buy an Aston Villa defender? I mean, almost certainly not. So who else we got, right? This is like even Crystal Palace defenders have been popular recently, and they've just blanked twice in a row. But they got West Ham away this week, not great. Bournemouth at home in 15 is good, and then straight after that, Liverpool at home, Man City away, Brighton at home, Chelsea away. So it's just the wrong time to buy a Crystal Palace defender. Kyle Walker, not a bad shout. 5.3 million minutes are pretty good. Probably, arguably the best defender option if they double in game week 20 right now. Hasn't missed a game all season, played 90 minutes every single time. But he got Spurs. Oh, jeez, look at me forward. But he got Spurs at home this week. And then Villa away the week after. Not great, I would say, for clean sheets. Although obviously Man City defence is brilliant. So they could get 2 there in those 2. But they also blank in 18. So is this the right time to be buying Walker? I don't know. Look, you get the point I'm making. There's just not an ideal player. So if you've got a preference, just go for him. I think sometimes there's periods in the season where like it could be game week 7. You're looking at the next 5 game weeks and you're thinking, well, you have to have a defender from that team. Like you've got to go and get a defender. The fixtures are so good. They're going to keep loads of clean sheets. There's potential for attack and returns. But now, right now, it's not the case. I love you to bits, but why the roadman wet? What do you mean, right? Like I'm literally wearing a hat. It's what a ridiculous comment. I mean, I'm wearing a hoodie and a hat. I wear hoodies on the stream before. Would you play Chris Wood instead of Son next game week? No. I got to be honest, off the top of my head, I can't remember who Nottingham Forest have got. They've probably got someone good now. Everton at home. I just don't think I can go Chris Wood over Son. Would I sell Saka for 16 to 20? Who for? Dunk replacements. I've just talked about defenders quite a lot. There's no one basically. Is Trippier an all-season defender? I mean, I owned him and I sold him, so I guess the answer is no. Agreed it's not great to buy Walker now, but it's easier to hide a defender during the blank than an attacker. I mean, kind of, but you're also probably going to have to hide 2 attackers, so you've got 3 players to bench. I don't mind Walker, honestly. I don't think it's the worst shout at all. I don't think Gordon's better than Mbeumo, no. You own Dalot and Lindelof. Double Man United defence. What are you doing? I mean, I know they've just kept a clean sheet. How did you land on that? Would I sell Bruno Fernandes for Mbeumo? Probably, yes. Same midfield as you, but Gordon instead of Mbeumo. Sell Son for Mbeumo. What are you going to use the cash for? No news on Eze yet, no. Right, anything else that we haven't already discussed? Because we're coming up to like 50 plus minutes on this stream. Am I sleeping on Kudus? Probably. Yeah. Same as Ward Prowse. Same as Douglas Luiz. Huang. Why do you keep saying Bournemouth's a good fixture? They're creating loads of chances in their game. Who did I say that was a good fixture for? Defenders, yeah? Yeah. Are they, though? Let me see right now. Let me see how good the Bournemouth attack is. How good has it been this season? I mean, I know they scored 5 goals last 2 games. One of those games was against Sheffield United, though. I could be wrong. Let me see. Bournemouth are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15th in the league for expected goals per 90. 14th, sorry. There's 6 teams worse than them. So, I mean, it's not as good as playing Sheffield United, but I don't think it's that bad for a defender. I mean, I don't necessarily think that Gay is definitely going to keep a clean sheet against Bournemouth, but I'm also not going to worry about playing him in that game. Best defenders for the next few weeks. Oh, no, sorry, I did that one. Anana, my unsung hero, right? Why is my camera so blurry, by the way? We're too close to it. Past 3 game weeks after wildcard. Anana's three clean sheets in a row. Absolute legend. Adingra and Diaby to Gordon / Palmer in Mbeumo tonight. I mean, I think the combination you're selling to is better, yes. I think a lot of people should work out their next few moves and how much money they need, because there are quite a few price changes this week. Or tonight, sorry. Let me just bring them up here. Price changes. Okay. So I just bring this over here and put it on. Let's put it on this screen a second. So these are the potential price changes. You can check these on Fantasy Football Hub. It's completely free to check. So players that could go up tonight. And again, this is never 100% accurate, but it's about as close as you're going to get. Players that could go up in price 0.1 tonight. Gordon, Saliba, Semenyo, Gabriel, Mbeumo. That's going up. And then going down, Gusto, Foster at Burnley, Rashford, Antonio, Bowen possibly as well. And then players that are close to going up tomorrow, so that's Monday night basically. Saka, Zinchenko, Salah. And then going down, Son, Alvarez, Cash, Vardiol, Varane, Caicedo. Just for all those Caicedo owners out there. Now, I would try and not have your transfers dictated by price changes, but also you've got to be realistic. If you're looking to do a move and you're going to be priced out if you don't do it, and it's definitely the move that you want to do, then I would consider going early. I haven't done it much this season, but I did it with Trippier when I moved him in on a Sunday night just because I knew I was going to be priced out. So if you're looking at bringing in Mbeumo, I just think, again, I know I'm quite high on Mbeumo, and some people might not agree with it, but I don't think there's, again, he's not essential, but I don't think there's any argument to say that he's a bad option for the next 4 games. He's just a good one. I don't think there's an argument against that. Obviously, you've got the blank to contend with, so just consider that. But if you're thinking about getting him and you're going to be priced out and you know that's the player you want to sell, I would be tempted to do it early and just take the risk. But you do it knowing that it is a risk, right? If Burma gets injured in training and suddenly you've got another move to make, right? Prioritise cash out or Diaby out. I think if you've got 3 good defenders you can play instead, then you get rid of Diaby, right? Focus on Brentford players. I don't think I'd really be looking at them outside of Mbeumo. I don't mind Pinnock. I don't mind Wissa, but you just add an extra players that blank. Sanchez is pretty bad. Options for goalkeeper on Gameweek 16. I would probably just stick with Sanchez. Yes, there is European games this week. Super Tiger is right. Like, it's a risk. I'm not saying you should. I'm not saying everyone should go and make a transfer tonight, but you sometimes need to consider it for sure. Someone needs to do a transfer impact analysis vis-a-vis your videos. Would be as in like how often I get stuff wrong. You mean? Because I'll tell you now, it's probably all the time. I mean, we've been going like an hour now for this stream. There's probably been an hour's worth of incorrect opinions, I would say. Bring in Rashford? No. Yeah, look, I've answered this already. A few people are still asking me whether or not I'm thinking about selling Son. Not really. I mean, look, if I had 2 free transfers and something interesting to do, maybe. And I will consider it in Game Week 15, but I just don't see too many midfielders that I would want to bring in this week with 1 free transfer. Like, if you look at the fixtures, I mean, let's look at the list of players. So this is for me personally, right? Yours might be a little bit different, but I'm already tripled up on Arsenal. So even if I wanted Martinelli or Odegaard, I couldn't do it. And I'm not taking a hit, right, getting rid of Son. It's just not worth it. Brentford versus Luton, I've already got in Mbeumo. Burnley versus Sheffield United, there's no one there. Like Forest versus Everton, like Decore, Gibbs, White, are they players to bring in for Son? Probably not. Gordon from Newcastle, yes, good option. Is he better than Son this week? Not sure about that. Maybe a little bit. Man United, Bruno Fernandes on 4 yellow cards. Marcus Rashford can't score unless someone gives him a penalty. Probably not worth it. Liverpool, maybe. Jota, Diaz, possibly, if you knew which one was going to start every single week. Aston Villa, I think we've spent most of the stream talking about selling Diaby, so I don't think it's a good time to buy. I definitely don't want a Bournemouth midfielder. I've already got Palmer from Chelsea. I could go to Sterling. Not a terrible shout. Do I need to do Son out this week for Sterling? Probably not. Brighton midfielder is not going there. Bowen, I really like Bowen. I think, do you know what? I actually think Bowen, out of all the players I don't own, is the one. But again, do I feel like I really need him this week? Probably not. And I'm not going to bring in a Man City midfielder. So that's just it for me for Son. It's not. I don't think he's so essential you've got to keep hold of him. I just don't think there's anyone else I want right now. Okay, with Jota's injured, then maybe it makes Diaz a nice punt. Your hat makes you look like Vicario was the best goalkeeper hipster. The reason I'm wearing a hat is because I wore a like woolly hat type thing when I was watching my son play football because it was cold, and so my hair's all messed up. What hair I've got left, and so I put a hat on. That's basically it. Someone said share is a good shout. Do you know what? I think yes. I have said that a few times over the last couple of weeks. I don't mind share as an option because we talked a lot about defenders and how there's issues with all of them. And I mean, to be fair, even with share, you've got some on paper Man United at home, Everton away, Spurs away. I don't think that's great for clean sheets necessarily. But Newcastle's a very strong defence, and after that they've got Fulham at home, Luton away, Forest at home. You're not worried about Botman coming back because share is nailed on anyway. So I don't mind that as a shout. But it's 5.2 million. I just want to find the extra 0.1 to get Porro, I think. He's so attacking. You have a good midfield. If you sold Son, you get tempted to spend the money on other players. Yeah, and again, without going over old ground and kind of repeating myself, I'm open to it. Like selling Son to a cheaper midfielder like Bowen and then spending that money on my defence. I'm open to that, but I just don't think there's any rush to do it. Like I've got double Arsenal defence against Wolves at home and Charlie Taylor against Sheffield United at home, or cash against Bournemouth away. There's just no real need to go out and get a defender. And the one that I kind of want is Porro, and he's got Man City away. So for me, it's just a week where I don't really need to do too much. And Gameweek 15 is a midweek game week, right? So Saturday deadline this week is 1:30 UK time in the afternoon. So it's not a morning game. It's not a morning deadline. And then in Gameweek 15, the deadline's on Tuesday. So even if I roll a transfer, I'm going to be quickly using it again. Any thoughts to get another goalkeeper if you had a spare transfer? Who would you ideally go for? Sanchez from Chelsea. But again, I've got 0.1 in the bank, so I don't even have any money to upgrade Areola. I think Lascelles is better than Share from a value perspective if Botman remains out. Dallo averages 6.5 points per game since I got him. What a legend. All right, I'm going to leave that one there. I think we've answered a lot of questions. We're probably going around in circles a little bit now as well. Plus, we've got early thoughts tomorrow, transfer tips on Tuesday, team selection on Wednesday, game week preview on Thursday, final thoughts on Friday, and deadline stream on Saturday. So plenty more content to come. Thank you for joining me tonight. If you've joined me live or if you're watching or listening afterwards, thank you very much. Make sure to give the stream a like. Hit that subscribe button. We have passed 387k subscribers now. We're on our way to 400,000. So I appreciate if you hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. If you're listening on podcast, please do make sure to rate 5 stars. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Thank you for all of your questions. And I will catch you again for early thoughts tomorrow. I'll see you then.